All right. So I didn't video tearing this apart, but I uh I just this is the car just got off the the shipping truck. So my biggest suspicion with this thing is the TIPM, which is this device right here. Um, it has like three codes, P0882, P1603, I think, and then some other. I know one of them's like a low voltage to transmission control module, which is also built into the power control module down in here, I think. A circuit board there. But that could also have something to do with the grounds. But it looks like the dealership or somebody was already on top of that somewhat. But I'll probably go over it again because these don't look like they were ground down between the things. And this one doesn't totally look ground down on the other side of it. So that will be something I do, get calcium off that I can still see some calcification going on. I'll probably put a better, I don't know if you saw all that when I was doing all that. Okay. I'll probably put a better negative terminal because I have the light really bright right now. But hold on a sec. Can you see better now? It's kind of corroded too a little bit, and I think there's that could be a little blockage. So I'll just get another one on this. This one looks like super amazing. I'll probably just leave that. It looks no corrosion on the positive, so I'm not too concerned about all that. Yes, I haven't disconnected the battery yet before I started messing with everything. The only thing I took out so far was the air box. This air, so the air box, sorry if I was zoomed in too much, which is the stubby little version for the GT model. The air filter definitely needs change. It's looking pretty brown and might be the original air filter. I don't know. It looks pretty old. This thing was a vacuum tube that's supposed to go underneath this turbo and the turbo intake vent. I think that's what that. I don't know what this goes. It goes into the intake manifold in the plenum, and I think it comes from the turbo. But this is my first turbo ever. I own a 2007 naturally aspirated one of these. Actually, hold on a sec. Let me think. This intake tube from the airbox goes to the turbo, and then it comes around. Where's the air go? Hold on, let me turn the light back on. I don't know. Where does that come from? Where is that coming from? This doesn't seem stock to me. Because it's blocking this tube too. That this is supposed to go to the airbox. It wasn't even connected. That's for vacuum purposes. So I mean that's possibly would help a little bit. I'll have to take the battery out and figure out what's going on there. But with the codes that I'm getting, I definitely think that the issue is probably here in this TIPM, which is also stands for Totally Integrated Power Module. It has multiple layers of circuit boards on it. It's not just a fuse box. It's actually got multiple layers of circuit boards with smart circuits, programmed integrated circuit chips, IC chips, with some smart logic. I don't think the VIN is programmed at all in this, so I don't really think that matters. If somebody tells you, I know in the this is the power control module. Did I say earlier this is the power control module? Yeah, I think I did. But the transmission control module is actually built into the power control module. This is the main brains computer of the system. So, of the whole car. So all this stuff, I'm almost positive, comes after the TIPM from the battery. So everything from the battery first goes through, well, one actually goes to the starter. That doesn't really need a whole lot. The solenoid, the starter solenoid, that doesn't really need a lot of protection. However, the rest just goes into this other side of this TIPM, and everything else gets distributed from this to the rest of the car. And so when people have electronic issues with these PT Cruisers, I believe this is actually the main culprit almost all the time. If you know how to repair circuits, there's relays that are in this that commonly fail, I guess. They didn't use maybe the best of relays, and I guess not every fuse is protecting every relay down in here like it should. And these are like probably, I think they're mostly single throw relays, but they could be double pull, double throw, or something different, or single pull, double throw, I think is the other one. And I don't remember. I think they're probably mostly normally open relays, but this car has some codes going on, and I got hugely blessed by this car, to be honest with you, because I saw it on eBay, and I only paid $2,500 for it. The guy is a really awesome guy. Shout out to you if you're watching. You know, I'll probably send the link to you. I won't say your name, just for your own privacy purposes. But he's a really cool guy, and I wanted to possibly make this video to help others out in the future feel confident about fixing these cars and being able to put more like TLC, tender loving care, into these cars, because I do believe they could actually be 300 or 400,000 mile cars with this inline four. Maybe not the turbo version if it's been abused a lot more, but I've seen on YouTube ones of these 4-cylinder, same engine that went in. It's a 2.4 liter inline four, same engine that went into a Dodge Neon at the same time. But from what I've seen, like if you take good care of it, give it all its regular maintenance, like this car will actually last quite a while. I have another PT Cruiser with 230,000 miles right now. This one only has 71,000. I haven't cleaned it up yet. This is all from the desert, Arizona kind of area. But I have another one with 230,000 miles, and it doesn't leak a single drop out of the transmission. Mind you, I did just put a new clutch in, but I didn't touch the gears at all. I didn't get into the gear casing stuff. But this was my first clutch ever on that car. But even before I did all that, like, it didn't leak a single drop of fluid, oil, engine oil, or transmission fluid, brake fluid. That one's been in Colorado most of its life and hardly had any rust underneath it. This one's been in Arizona most of its life and hardly has any rust underneath it. And now it's in Colorado as well, so it's also in a good state. Shout out to if you live in Chicago or New York kind of area. It would be wise if you get a new car to put undercoating on your underside, because you guys have tons of salt. I know because I grew up in Indiana and we had rust buckets all the time there, but because of the lake effect. And then we also had a lot of ice in winter from the lake effect. Basically that means evaporation from the Great Lakes, like Lake Michigan mainly, dumping during winter, and then it melting, freezing, or sometimes freezing rain, or just slush freezing, and it turns to ice, and then they have to use tons of salt, and then that salt gets on your underbody. The salt gets on your underbody, and if you don't regularly have like a monthly car wash package with an underwash, like that salt just eats away your car. But even then, some salt still eats away your car unless you. The best way is just to protect it with like an undercoating. But yeah, I'm gonna probably cut this video at some point after I continue talking about this car. But and then I'll clean it all up. I'm gonna get under the battery and examine some things a little more. It's a beautiful car. I'm so grateful for this car because it's worth quite a bit more, honestly, and I do feel like a lot of people are really scared to touch it because of the electronic issues, but I understand electronic issues. I understand electronic stuff fairly well, I guess. Not to brag, just that's kind of it's got an automatic window. Did you see that? Yeah, it goes up. I am really excited about fixing this up and probably let some people, a couple that's in need, borrow it. I do hope that they don't take it out with as nice a condition this is as this is in. I probably would want them to just use their other car for the main car, and this as just help to get to and from work for the other person to get to their job, so they can both. Because it's two friends of mine, and they have both jobs but one car between them, and it's kind of hard. But about the TIPM, the totally integrated power module, again, so like there's relays. These relays should not be designed ever. I don't, from what I'm understanding from my own personal perspective, is that relays like that inside this TIPM should always be protected by something. And from like I said, some of them weren't. I do think that the date code might actually matter. It's 2 letters. So I have the convertible version, so mine's gonna end in 14 for the model number. If you have a convertible, you need to get that one. If you have the non-convertible hardtop, you got to get the one that ends in 19. Because there's something in that TIPM, I'm almost sure probably, that controls your top. And the other one doesn't. So, I mean, maybe they put that circuit in both and just did some weird finagling or disengaged it like some companies do with circuit boards. They just cheaply, for the manufacturing process to be cheap, it's the same thing basically across the board. But again, like I was saying about the date code, those last 2 letters, I do think they actually probably matter, because that depends on what year this was actually made, or date. And it started, I think, with AA. I don't see any AAs, but the most common I see on eBay are like AN, AM, AO, AP. There is some ARs, and that's about the latest version. I think that's probably in the 2010 model of these cars. I just replaced one of these in the 2007. I replaced it with an AP from a 2008 PT Cruiser, and I didn't touch anything. I didn't do the hold, like where you turn the ignition on, wait 15 seconds. It's the soft program. I don't really think, I'm not too sure, but maybe there's some codes that are being put into the computer that don't show up because I didn't do that in the other car. But it runs really amazing, and it fixed its wiper issues. That between that and actually me like totally like going through all the grounds and really cleaning the grounds up in this thing. There's like this ground right here is going to stuff in the TIPM, as well as this one. But this one also, so it's like split evenly between these two little wires that go into the TIPM. So they're both important, I think. I I do kind of wonder about ground looping and if it's better just to combine something like that. And then there's the main ground right to here, to the battery, onto this one, and then it also goes to the starter. If you can see that, if I can film it, it goes that way, and then it goes over down into here onto the starter, if you can see that. Can you see that? I do think it's the teal wire that's the ground. It's different on the not naturally aspirated one. I tore my other one all apart, and the ground on that one attached to between the transmission and the starter, right on the the transmission bell housings metal gasket that is between the bell housing of the transmission and the engine block. So, but I cleaned that all up on that one, and it got rid of. I had a really janky. So this is a hint for all you. If anyone out there has a really janky windshield wiper issue, where they just kind of go boop 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 boop, and you keep having to flick the wiper control arm like this, and all it does is just, and then to get it to go back down into its spot was really rough. I dealt with that. I lived with that for a few years, and it was rough, dude. I went on a trip from Colorado Springs all the way to Phoenix one time, and I didn't realize there was going to be crazy precipitation in New Mexico, but they actually do get snow. And Santa Fe, I imagined it as all desert, but it's up in the mountains more, and it was really rough. It was I can't gauge how much. It was this much snow. 6-7 inches of snow on the ground at some points on the highway, and my tires were rough, and the spark plugs. I got a crazy story about the spark plugs going out on me, and only running on 2 out of 4 cylinders on the way back, getting almost stuck in the mountains. But the Lord, praise God, got me out of it, and I coasted down the mountain at the border of New Mexico. I camped out there overnight in my car, and turning it back on, and I turned it on multiple times to keep myself warm, but then just because it was such a long road trip and I was tired, but I turned it I rolled down a lot of the way. It was downhill a lot of the way from in elevation from the border between New Mexico and Colorado, and me heading back to Colorado Springs. So, but yeah, I got back and I saw in the code, I did a little code reader with a cheap scan gauge thing, $10 scan gauge from Amazon, and found that 2 of my cylinders were misfiring. So then I immediately changed my spark plugs, and that helped a ton, which brings me to the spark plugs on this thing. So the spark plugs on this thing look aftermarket to me, and the electrode is all fried. It's hardly there, but I also think it was probably a platinum, which I don't think is for this car. And the gap is super kind of too big. It's also because the electrode were off. So the electrode, I think, is the top part. The anode, I think, is... So I said it wrong maybe first, but the electrode's the top part, I believe, if I remember right. I think I remember right. And then the anode's the... I could have it backwards. Anode's for negative, right? Well, wait. There's also cathode, right? I forgot. Anode and cathode. Whatever. Anyways, so that white stuff is from high heat, and it's probably, that looks wore out too, but the top, I think it's the electrode, is also the metal's partly there and not partly there compared to what it used to be. The oil on this thing is not a bad sign. I pulled this out of, I think it's probably cylinder number 1. Well, actually, driver's side is maybe where cylinder number one starts, probably. 1, 2, 3, 4 would be my guess. But it's just oil that had fallen down into on top of the ignition coil and down into the spark plug well thing from filling it. So it's not a big deal. Like, it didn't get, I don't think it got past it, but maybe it did. If it did, it probably didn't hurt a whole lot. Probably just turned to carbon a little bit. No big deal. This thing is in amazing, glorious shape, to be honest with you. Like, I feel very blessed. Got this car for an amazing deal. I told you $2,500. I had it shipped for a really good deal too. That's a long story, but I'm probably not going to get into that. So yeah, I definitely think something's up with this, because this little tube, if you can see it, that little tube right there underneath that. Oh gosh, how in the world do I even get this? There, I guess I have to get really close. So this guy is a vacuum tube that goes to the airbox, and it literally is blocked right by this. It's right up next to this intake tube, which goes into the intake manifold, which then goes into the plenum, which then goes into the intake, and the head. And when the valve's open, it goes into the pistons and it ignites the mixture of air and fuel that gets mixed right here at the intake manifold. So there is something else I wanted to share. Oh, my last PT Cruiser, I lifted 1.2 inches with a lift kit I found on Amazon, and it was quite a nice appearance. This has got bigger rims. I'm tripping over another lift kit. Surprise. And it would probably not be that noticeable, honestly, with this car, but it made a huge difference around Colorado Springs for the dips and bumps we have from when it rains. We need like big dips because it's like desert out here, and when it rains, we need that. The ground doesn't really absorb a whole lot because it's so dry. So that rain immediately, just like in Arizona, it just like can flash flood, and so it has to have somewhere to go fast, but that causes us to have like big dips and stuff, and speed bumps too were rough. But I say all this because I had a hitch on my 2007 PT Cruiser. This one doesn't have one, but it would hit all the time on stuff, and it would hurt in my back and stuff. And so when I lifted it, I haven't noticed anything so far, so I'm really thankful for that. Yeah, so this is the third PT Cruiser I've worked on. I hadn't worked on another friend's one who hit a deer, took out the whole lower part here. This guy has fog lights. I've never had a PT with fog lights yet. This has everything on this one. It's just amazing. Gotta buff the headlights out still. The grill on this is clear coat's amazing. There's no peeling, but it messed up some of his frame and has busted his radiator open. That was fun, fixing that. I also busted the radiator on a dip here in the Springs, because we have big dips sometimes, and I hit it a little too hard, and my front slammed the other side of the road, because I was trying to test out my new suspension I put on. Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to say. Sometimes when these things have a lot of miles, there's a lot of suspension stuff that needs work. The Watts link in the back, that's interesting thing. Yeah, and stabilizer bar, the little bearings can get really squeaky, and you might think something's really bad with your suspension, but it's just making a lot of noise from the rubber. I put new bearings on the 2007 just recently because WD-40 was working, but now I was just like, you know what? I put let me just show it to you as a help. This lubricant multi-vehicle. Oh, it's not in that one. Where is it? What did I do with that? This is my friend's garage. Shout out to my friend. You know who you are. I won't say your name. Everyone probably knows who you are. But I am showing off your garage. I might have to get your approval if I can leave this up. But I don't think I'm not putting your exact location. So where did that grease tube go? So I put a ton of grease. Oops, I'm probably not filming very well. I'm looking for something right now. Heaters, it's like 40 degrees in here right now. This was for me cleaning the transmission on the last one, the bell housing and everything, the outside and inside. I used all this stuff. Shout out to the people on YouTube that really help you figure out how to clean those things. Dub 409 works really well. So does Purple Power at cutting away the carbon dust. There's a ton of carbon dust in transmissions. Oh, this is my other Tip'em. See, it's a model number AP 719 AP. The full number is like 56049 AP, and it could have been in here or it could have been the grounds. I don't really know, but I'm just happy that things are really working. I got another one on eBay for like $130, and I was very happy about that. I'm looking for the grease I use. Well, it's not multi-purpose. I forget the name. Maybe you can put it in the comments, somebody. So yeah, I think I talked about everything that I wanted to talk about for now. Next time I'm gonna do another video, and maybe I'll have support on this one. Someone like a camera person. Maybe you'll see me in the video. But yeah, I'm gonna clean this baby up and get her going. See if all the codes, clear the codes and see if they stay away. Oh, did I mention those codes? The P0882, the P1603, and then like a P0101 or something. I can't remember that third one, but something about those three, maybe all three, or maybe one of them, I don't know, causes the car to go in limp mode at times and cuts the power down to like 30 or 40% of what it's supposed to, which can be dangerous when you're on the highway and stuff. It's something that I've experienced with. Oh, here's another thing I can bring up with these things. These camshaft position sensors are super easy to replace, and they're only like $15. Get an AC Delco one, probably. I've had one of those that's done me really well, but they can only sometimes maybe last 15,000 miles. It's a super cheap part though, and you might have to replace it frequently. But all it does is it's like a Hall effect sensor, which detects the metal position with like electromagnetic sensing, I think, of the position of where the lobe is, and when it passes the certain most sensitive part of where the sensor's at, it says where it's at, I guess, and tells it to the computer. But yeah, those things go out frequently, and I, for the longest time, didn't know what that even was on my 2007, and I just dealt with it, continually putting my car into limp mode for so many times, and it was rough. So yeah, I think I've covered a lot of the big things: suspension, the electronic stuff that these things have. I've never had a problem with the engines or the transmissions, other than I had to do the clutch, but that thing had 230,000 miles. That's probably the first time it was done, and I put a stage 2 clutch in it. I didn't do a video on that one, which would have been cool, Maybe I can throw some pictures up one day of that one in another video, but yeah. If anyone has comments or questions about these PT Cruisers, if this video gets more views, I'm willing to help. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, that He came in the flesh, that He rose again, that He is Lord, and that He loves you very much. And I think it would be wise if you give Him an opportunity if you haven't already. He's not a mad God up in heaven just waiting on the throne waiting to get mad at you or something. And I do believe in the Noah's Ark and stuff. Check out the Creation Museum and the Ark Encounter. It's a full life-size ark, and I believe they've even found where the actual ark, has landed thousands of years ago up in the mountains of, like, I think it's, well, I don't want to say because I don't remember, but you can just search that on Google or YouTube if you're really interested in knowledge. But it's the love of the Lord that really brought me to Him by someone who's really smart, and I was wondering how he could believe in fairy tales like that, but I gave it a chance, and it changed my life. It made me feel more self-esteem, more courage, ability to talk to people. Changed my life completely. But yeah, so yeah, gotta buff these headlights out. Oh, maybe I'll give a little quick tour of the interior on this guy. So, oh, it smells amazing. Previous owner put an awesome air freshener in here. This is really blingy. Like, if I was married or something, had my wife, which I don't right now. Shout out to all the ladies. I'm just messing. But anyway, a girl would really like this, I feel like. There's like more blingy down going on in the cup holder down there, if you can see it. So much bling going on this thing. Sorry, I'm not sure if I'm doing a good job. It's only got 71,000 miles. Got it for $2,500. If I fix everything, it could be worth $7,000 to $9,000. And this all leather seating, it's got like everything compared to my other one. Cruise control, my other one doesn't have that. I think the horn works. Well, ooh, the horn works. Praise God. So there's the gosh, why am I not thinking straight? This is the windshield wiper control arm, turn signal control arm over here, and I got to replace both on the other one just to play it safe. I'm trying to fix an airbag light issue, and the horn doesn't work on the other one. So I think it's in the clock spring. Once I replace that, it'll get rid of that electronic issue, but I'm also just going to replace these two control arms with it just to play it safe. If there's any weird electronic, because they all connect. I think it comes from the TIP'em, and stuff, power and stuff comes from the TIP'em, I think, and it goes, I think, first to the clock. Somebody can correct me if you know better, but it goes to the clock spring, and then it goes to the control arms, and then it goes to and also the clock spring connects to the airbag and the horn. And so it does a lot, and there's a lot more to it, I think, than meets the eye. The interesting thing about a clock spring is it's round, and it keeps connection as you turn signal from wires headed from the TIP'em. The TIP'em's in that direction. I'm pointing at the speedometer, and it comes up the steering column, and it goes into that, and it keeps connection to everything, all the devices, control arms in this. But yeah, dude, this car is like gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. And it has a door opener, garage door opener in the visor. I didn't even know they did that then. That's beautiful. And the visors on the convertible Oh, oops, that one's broke. Uh-oh. Ah! I have to fix that or something. The mirror is busted. Can I pop it open to just look at it? No, it's not being easy with one hand. Okay, well, let's see if this one works. It's kind of janky too, a little bit. Something's up with the design there. Ooh, I hope it didn't break. Okay, okay, we'll just leave that alone for now. Maybe I gotta do some gluing or something, super glue or whatever. But anyway, so the visors on a convertible, so this is my first convertible, they're connected to the windshield frame. I didn't know that. So, oh, convertible on this is also a 2-door versus, I think, all the hardtop ones. I could be wrong, but I think all the hardtop ones are 4-door. Zoom in. I don't want to zoom in. I gotta zoom out more. More wide angle. The rims on this thing are beautiful. The tires they gave me with this, are just amazing treads. Just in tip-top shape. Again, shout out to the seller. Thank you. I appreciate this car so much. I love it. I really do. I'm very grateful that I was able to get such an amazing deal. This will go to good use for ministry and helping those in need. But I will try to keep it low miles, and I do think I'm going to try to resell it after I fix it and use it for kingdom money, ministry money. But, oh, let's look at the little trunk in this thing. Let's see if it opens without the key. Oh, there's no button on this one. There's a rubber thing on my 2007. Oops, I wasn't even aiming at the... I'm probably not doing the best with the camera, but I want to show you guys this convertible trunk thingy. Actually, let's do the button. Let's double tap that. Yep, flash the taillights, and then can I zoom out enough? This is as zoomed out as it gets. I'm holding the phone pretty far back. So like I was standing over here earlier between the garage door and this, and it was like right up. It smells amazing here in this trunk too, and it's an amazing shape. It's a little tiny trunk, but it's really cool, and you can fit some cool stuff in there. The other one, so that's more like a trunk. The other kind, hatchback, has, the big hatchback. So, antenna's missing, no big deal. Seller said, get a stubby one for $10 off Amazon, so I'll find some antenna. It actually is getting radio reception even without that, so here in the Springs, but our signal's probably really strong here for most radio stations. Alright, well, I will, next video, I'm gonna pull this out. Well, I'll first disconnect the, wait, is it the positive first? Yeah, I think so. Is that right? Oh, wait. No, I think it's the negative. You're supposed to disconnect the negative terminal. But if you just disconnect both and take the battery out, you're fine. Doesn't matter. As long as there's no connection across there. That's the main thing. You don't want to cross these two. That could cause electrical problems too. Or just hurt your battery. And your wrench. Maybe put a little scar marks on it. But, yeah, next video I'm going to have the battery out. Discover what this thing goes down to, because I have no idea. It's my first turbo car ever. I don't know where it's going. Pull that out, get the model number. Explain maybe model numbers a little more and how I feel like they might be relevant, because they do improve circuit stuff sometimes as the date codes increase. And so, but all of them were made in Mexico from what I can tell. This is the worst year, 2006, for electronic issues and those codes and weird things. They said engine problems, but it's all the same engine stuff, I think. I think the culprit is this guy, the tip. And it just needs a different, better one that's in good shape, I think. Probably not getting the cold air intake. That would need a tune. Probably not going to put all that much into this. I'm going to probably keep it stock. Again, it needs a new air filter. That will probably actually help a little bit. And just clean everything up. I got to take all the spark plugs out. So next video also, that might be off of there. But then at some point, I'll show this thing cleaned and pretty too, maybe. Maybe I'll do that in that video, cleaning it. Yeah. We'll see. All right, have a good one. Cheers. God bless.